हाँ लाइव यस। एक बार लिंक सर शेयर करना चैट में।
हाँ मैं शेयर करता हूँ। So hello everyone, we are going to have a live session today, and today we have with us Dipesh Gautam, who has more than 15 years of experience in IPRs. So he will be taking the session. So I think Dipesh is ready. Dipesh, over to you. You can share your screen and you can start with the session.
Yes, sure. Thank you, Nikhil. Hello, everyone. This is Dipesh Kumar Gautam, and today's session is related to the topic Invention Disclosure Form. In short form, it is known as IDF. I'm a little bit under the weather, so maybe this entire presentation will be disturbed by my occasional coughing. So before going to start about this topic, Invention Disclosure Form, I want to point out certain statistics related to research in academia, or we can say research in general around the world. So if we talk about India and Indian universities, around 10%, I think I will say that less than 10% university regularly file patents related to their invention, related to the research topic, related to their specialization. Only 10%, and I'll say mostly IITs file the patent related to the research they're doing currently. So IDF is a very essential part of patent filing procedure that we are going to talk about. And this is the document which often misunderstood by most of the people, including inventors, researchers, university professors, and sometimes R&D engineers. So being in this intellectual property field for more than a decade, I have interacted with multitude of inventors, R&D heads, sometimes CTOs of the multinational companies. And this is the format in which they share their information. This is the format in which they process their information in their IP department. So Invention Disclosure Form is basically nothing, but it's a 4 or 5 pager document that basically describes the invention of an inventor or the research material of a researcher or a professor or a student in aligning with the legal requirement of the patent office of any country. So I'm going to describe each and every field of this Invention Disclosure Form, and I'm going to talk about it, and I'm going to tell you why this form is very important, and how writing this form in a proper way can contribute for effective research or effective research building. So as you can see my screen, so this is Invention Disclosure Form which I have prepared by myself, and I usually share this form to our inventors or to our prospective client who are willing to file patent in their chosen field of research. So first, the first section is the detail of inventors. Now this section is the legal requirement for patent filing in any country. So if you're willing to file a patent in India, or if you want to file an international application like WIPO, or you want to file a European application, you have to give the detail about the inventors. So we have to put their full legal name, department where they're doing the research. If they're affiliated with an university, if you're the university professor, they have to mention it here. then their designation or affiliation with the research organization, then their email and contact number. All this information will be used by the patent office of any particular country to put the information in their legal databases. Another section is title of the invention. So, considering you people you're already researcher, seasoned researcher, you know what this means. Just like any technical papers, IEEE or nature paper, you have to describe the title of your invention. But here, the title should be central to the idea of the invention. It should not be vague when you are going to file a patent. So, for example, I have written a research topic here, or I will say that I have written an invention topic here, securing V2X communication platform. So, title itself describe itself like securing V2X platform. So I think this invention is related to providing security mechanism in a V2X communication platform. Then another section is communication, the abstract of the invention. Again, this is similar to abstract of any technical papers or IEEE paper, like you see on any particular databases. So here, when we give the abstract of invention, for the purpose of patent filing, it should be concise. It should not be more than 100 words, and it should address the novelty of the invention. We'll talk it about more in later section. Then the fourth section is the complete description of the invention, including potential industrial application. If there is any product specification, or is there any product launched in the market based on your invention or the research, you have to mention it here. And the working and all the process, algorithm, anything which describes your invention, we have to mention it here. Again, I'm saying this document, this invention disclosure form, is used by their attorneys for the purpose of filing the invention. Attorney use this invention disclosure form provided by the inventor or researcher to draft the patent application. So the more, the way you write it, it will depict your actual file invention or actual file patent. So here in fourth point, you have to describe your invention in as descriptive manner as it can. Okay, so here I have mentioned to describe this title, securing V2X communication platform, I have written a line which basically describes the invention in much detail manner. So here we are securing V2X communication platform using AES 128-bit encryption. So this is something we are going to do. Then how we are going to do? We are implementing it through a server-based API. So in short, this is the central idea of the entire invention. But when you are going to provide your idea to your attorney or to the firm like us, you have to describe everything related to your invention or everything you know about your invention. For example, if you're doing, suppose you're doing, research on a particular topic. Suppose it is your PhD topic, and you're working on a particular problem. Basically, you're trying to find a solution or a workaround or improvement in existing problem. Or you basically want, or another thing it can be, you basically want to do a survey based on some test data. And ultimately, it will form your PhD thesis. But what happens when you decide to file the patent based on the solution provided in your PhD thesis? Then you have to describe it here in the form, the way you write it in your PhD thesis. For example, you can describe it how you are going to implement that algorithm. In fact, you can write the pseudocode related to your algorithm. Not every crucial information, but you can describe the essential information here. You can provide any flow diagram if you know. you can provide any test data. For example, you can provide the MATLAB results. Okay, if it is, it is validating your research material. So any possible information, if suppose you have presented a paper or published an IEEE paper or ACM computing survey, a paper in ACM computing survey, provide that information. It will help the examiner, it will help the attorney to write your patent in a more effective way. And the chances of getting it granted by any patent office will increase, obviously. So the fourth part is very important. The fifth part is, what is the novel element of your invention? Now, this is very interesting point, because based on my personal experience, based on my personal interaction with the inventors, individual researchers, I have found that most of the time the researcher does not know what is the novelty of their invention, or sometimes they cannot segregate their invention, their entire invention, from the novelty of their research material. So for example, if I'm saying that you should provide the novel element of your invention, what is new, what do you have to do here? You have to outline key components of your invention that makes it different from other invention or from other existing prior art in this world. Okay. In other words, like if I'll say in simple common language, okay, what is the new you are doing? This is the question. Question that you have to find answer it. So novel element of the invention is very important, and sometimes you have to brainstorm about your research material. So for example, if you're taking this example of securing V2X communication platform, here researcher is developing some sort of algorithm where he's utilizing AES 128-bit encryption and implementing it through an API, application program interface, which is running on a particular server. So here the novelty, what can be novelty? The novelty can be the algorithm which is implementing this AES 128-bit encryption, which is running on a particular server, which is running on a particular computing device. Okay, so this the novelty lies in the algorithm or the pseudocode, or novelty lies in that API, which is basically implementing that that algorithm. And this the objective, the entire objective is to provide a secure communication. Okay, so that in vehicular communication, the vehicles can communicate with each other in a more secure manner. So novelty portion is very important. So for sake of discussion, I'm going to write here the algorithm that implements the AES 128-bit encryption is the novel portion. Again, like I have not described it, but if you're doing research, if you are a researcher, if you have done a considerable significant amount of research in your topic, you should describe your novelty, how your algorithm that implements AES 128-bit encryption is novel. Okay, how it is different, how this encryption algorithm is different from other existing AES 128-bit encryption. So maybe your algorithm or your code, your software might be efficient in terms of time, or in terms of space, or it might have a good speed. When I'm talking about a speed, I'm talking about computing speed, or it has better load balancing. So the thing is, the purpose to point out all these these points is to tell you what can be the novelty of the invention. Because when you are going to give this invention disclosure form, when your attorney or firm like us going to write the patent and going to submit in a patent office, the examiner going to ask the similar question. Okay, he will say, okay, it is fine, you have implemented an algorithm, okay, that is AES 128-bit encryption, and it is providing encryption on a V2X communication platform. Okay, it is fine. You are using this in a V2X communication platform. How it is different from other, other existing or the other legacy algorithms? So here you can argue that your algorithm is novel in terms of space, in terms of computing speed, in terms of load balancing on the system. So these can be novel element that you have to brainstorm and you have to write it properly. Then the sixth point is working of the invention. Now here there are 3 or 4 points which seems to be the similar point or interrelated to very convoluted concept, but actually it is very different. So for example, the sixth point, which says that describe the working of the invention. So what does it mean? It means describe in detail how all the components are working together to achieve the main objective of the invention. Novelty is your algorithm here. Novelty is the computing power or the computing speed your algorithm is providing. The novelty is load balancing your algorithm is providing. But when I'm saying the working of the invention, then you have to describe how this algorithm will be implemented in this server and where this server will be situated and how this server will communicate with vehicles or cars or motorbikes in a vehicular communication platform. So you have to describe the entire architecture. Suppose you want to implement this in a driverless car scenario, where for example in Europe most of the countries are now implementing driverless car concept. So you have to describe it here, the entire architecture of the invention. Then the seventh point is the inventive step of the invention. You have already described the novelty of your invention. You have already described the working of the invention, how it will work in a system or how it will work in a real world. Now you have to tell the inventive step of the invention. Now, the seventh point is basically a legal point. And sometimes most of the researcher or inventor get confused with this inventive step thing. They argue that they have already told us the novel step, the novel element. Then why we are asking the inventive step of the invention? Because they argue that the inventive step lies in their novelty, and that is invention. But from a legal point of view, from attorney's perspective, from patent IPR perspective, this is a bit different. So what does this inventive step means? So it means, as you can see, it is written in the bracket, you have to point out the technical advancement of the invention that makes the invention non-obvious. Okay, so to describe this, I'll take an hypothetical example. What is non-obviousness? Okay, so your invention should include an inventive step. Okay, that is making it different. So for example, if I'm saying that you're describing to an attorney that you have developed an algorithm that implements AES 128-bit encryption, it is not novel. Okay, there are plethora of encryption algorithm in the market which is implementing AES 128-bit encryption. So you argue that you are implementing it in a vehicular infrastructure. It is providing secure vehicular communication. Okay, it is fine. There are other solutions also. They are doing it. Then you argue, okay, we have a novel element where we are saying that our algorithm are efficient. It provides better computing capability. It provides a better load balancing. Okay, it saves the computing cost, so on and so forth. So you have to tell that inventive step. Okay, so I'm going to take the example of non-obvious. And non-obvious means suppose when the wheel were invented, Okay, somebody who has invented the wheel, then later somebody who joined those three wheels and put a plank, wooden plank on that wheel and form it a cart. No, cart is an invention. Okay, which has three wheels. Suppose somebody uses a fourth wheel, okay, and now they call it another type of cart. Now they are saying that okay, it is a much advanced version than three-wheel cart. So here the four-wheel cart is an obvious invention. So the non-obviousness would include when you will include four-stroke engine in that three-wheel car, and then it will be non-obvious because that will be the inventive step. Not that you have implemented one extra wheel. Now you are saying that your four-wheel cart is a new invention because it provides better stability or something like that. It is very obvious. Okay, somebody who has three wheels, you have added one extra wheel. It is very obvious. Anybody who is skilled in the art can do that. So that is the definition of obviousness. In order to make it non-obvious, you have to add some sort of new thing. For example, you have to add a four-stroke engine. So now you're saying that you have added a four-stroke engine, so you don't have to push the cart. Okay, it will drive automatically. So that is the non-obviousness thing. And obviously, it is related to the novelty of the invention. But that adding of four-stroke engine or working a four-stroke engine in conjunction with those four wheels is inventive step. So that is the inventive step attorneys is asking, and you have to describe that inventive step. Okay, that is making your invention non-obvious. Okay, in light of existing prior art. Then the eighth point is provide the experimental data. Okay, if you have, and this this eighth point can be very relevant to university researchers, okay, or professors or PhD students, because most like these people do most of the research which is based on experimental data. So if you have some MATLAB records, or you have some some sort of or some sort of data related to calculating the efficiency of your algorithm, you can put it here. This will help attorneys. Then the ninth point is who are the possible end user, and this is very interesting point. Means who is going to use your invention? Or your invention is going to used by housewife, or your invention is going to used by telecom companies, or your invention is going to going to be used by pharma companies. So you have to mention it here because it gives the better coverage of your invention. It helps attorney to write your invention in more descriptive way. Okay, write your invention considering broad embodiment. So you have to list out all the potential user or potential beneficiaries who will use that invention. And it will be good if you describe how those users will use that invention. So for example, if I'm saying here, if the researcher is saying that his invention securing V2X communication platform, okay, will enable Uber drivers or Ola drivers to better spot to better spot customers, or to facilitate better coverage in a city. So they can be the end user. Similarly, the end user can also be somebody who owns a car. So you have to list out all the possible end user. Then the 10th point is, okay, you have to list out your competitors detail. Okay, who are the competitors related to your company? So who are your competitors? 10th point is more relevant to basically tech corporation, who basically do this inventive activity regularly. So for example, if suppose Ericsson is developing this secure V2X platform, okay, so Huawei may be their possible competitor, Nokia may be their possible competitor, Tejas Network can be their possible competitor, Airtel may be their possible competitor, or Tata Telebusiness Services can be their possible competitor. So you have to list out all the all the competitors in your field, and because when you list out the competitors, it will help attorneys to do an effective prior art search related to your invention. Then 11th point is describe the present state of the development of the invention. Now, this is very important point. Considering most of you gentlemen are university researcher and a professor, or their work, maybe you might be working on some sort of UGC funded projects. So you have to mention that detail here. So you have to describe the current state of your development, okay, or is there an estimated completion time related to your product or apparatus, or your research algorithm. So here, for example, suppose this topic, suppose Delhi University, a group of researchers are working on this topic, securing V2X communication platform. They have finished 70% or 60% of their research. Means they have developed their communication, their algorithms and everything, but it is still in implementation phase. They're testing their data, how efficient it is, is it viable or not. So you have to describe that detail here, the present state of your invention. Then the 12th point is that, now 12th point is very important, and based on my personal experience, I have noticed most of the inventors or most of the researchers, they shy to provide this information, the drawings, sketches, photos, or prototypes related to their invention. And so I did like last year, I did a quick survey with some of our clients, and I asked them why they do not provide their diagram, sketches, photos, or prototypes. So they say that they fear that their invention or the novelty, the research material will get leaked. So they are afraid that there will be confidentiality breach if they disclose such information, because diagrams, sketches, and prototypes gives us very good idea what you're doing right now, and sometimes it gives us what you're doing exactly. So never shy to provide any diagram, sketches, and prototypes if you have. This is going to help the attorney. This is going to help your invention get it granted by the patent office. And obviously, the companies who are doing it, or your attorney is going to sign an NDA, non-disclosure agreement with you, so you don't have to worry about that part. Then the 13th point is you have to provide the advantages and disadvantages of the technology, okay, compared to the alternatives. Now this is very important. When I say whenever I ask any potential client or any inventor to write point number 13, they usually provide me the advantages of their invention. They do not talk about disadvantages. So no, this is very crucial part. Okay, so if you're saying that your V2X, your algorithm that is implementing secure V2X communication platform has these advantages, okay, this will enable automated car driving, driverless car. This will help in implementing driverless car, or this will help in taxi aggregation services like Ola and Uber. You have to also mention what is the disadvantages of your technology, and always mention your disadvantage with a contemporary technology or with your competitor's product or with any other research, contemporary research, because this is going to help attorney to write your advantages in much better way in the patent document. Then the 14th point is, I think it will be very obvious to all of you, prior art references. Now the 14th point is basically for 14, the point number 14, that the attorney is going to do the prior art search, or the firm who are managing your patent filing is going to do the prior art search, and they're going to charge you. But here you have to provide the prior art which is known by you, which you encountered during your research, okay, which you think are prior arts. So you have to provide all the details here. So suppose if you're doing secure V2X communication, you're developing something like that, secure encryption for vehicular infrastructure, secure encryption for 5G technology. Obviously, you might be knowing certain prior arts, because you must be doing some sort of background study, some previously filed patent, some previously published paper. So mention all these prior arts. In fact, you should mention those prior arts which is much more relevant and closer to your invention. And do not worry or do not fear that your invention will not be granted if you will provide a good prior art, because the purpose of point 14, the purpose of this exercise is to find out all these prior art, all these document which is basically describing your invention, or which is very closer to your invention, because it will help the attorney to amend your invention or amend the claim, the legal language of your invention, so that patent office of any particular country get it granted. Then 15th point is, if you have some other relevant information, for example, suppose if you have ever published your invention in any form. So if suppose any of you, if who is a PhD student who is doing his research, is about to submit his PhD, and suppose he has published 5 papers in a very good journal and with good impact factor, okay, and now one of now that researcher or that student wants to convert one of their published research paper into an invention. Okay, so if you have your idea or your research material published in any manner or in any fashion anywhere in the world, mention it. Okay, because this is going to help the attorney. And apart from that, if you have ever provided your invention or you provided your research material to any organization or any companies or any product developing organization, okay, you have to mention that detail here. So you can see these are the 15 points which I have already discussed here, and these are very important 15 points. Again, like these are very simple points, but when you start to writing all these points, you will encounter the problem here. And the way you describe this idea form describes your invention or describes your research material. So I'm again saying, writing invention disclosure form IDF is an art. If you can write a good idea form, like 2 years back, I was working with like one of a European attorney, one of the leading firms in Europe, and we were doing a drafting project. Basically, we were drafting the patent for their client's invention. So he has like mentioned this one thing, that any researcher or any inventor who can write this idea form, invention disclosure form, who can learn the art of writing this invention disclosure form, he can file patent on any topic or any research material. He does not need to do the research, or he does not need to arrive at a final conclusion. He can file the patent at any moment of time, and his patent will be granted. So keep all the points which I have discussed related to this invention disclosure form. and try to learn how to write all these topics the way I have mentioned all these points. And if any of you think that the research material is worthy to be called an invention or to be converted into a patent, you can give me a call, or you can drop me an email. We can have a detailed discussion and I'll tell you about it. So in the screen you can see my phone number, you can see my email ID. If any of you wants to discuss this further, you can discuss it. Or if any of you have any question related to idea of how to write it, or any confuser, or if you want to argue about any topic, you can simply drop me an email. So this is it from my side, and I'm very thankful to Nikhil Rajput and Vipin Rathi to provide me this opportunity.
So thank you, sir, for delivering a wonderful talk. So participants, there is no question in the YouTube chat box. So I suppose everything is clear to the participants. So thank you so much, sir, once again from Ramanujan College and organizing committee of this FDP. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Ashish.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, sir.